Good morning, Facebook Live. Hello, YouTube. Hello, however you're watching us. It is Thursday morning, September 10th. Let's see, a little rainy out today. I'm getting ready to go out for my run here really quick and a bunch of work to do today. So it is Thursday morning, and I wanted to talk a little bit about salt. I'm going to get onto my computer here so I can manage any comments. Hopefully my phone will not go erratic like it has been. I'm planning on getting a new phone here. Good morning to everybody who's tuning on. I want to talk about salt today. Some shocking information about salt, some really shocking information about salt. We use the Redmond Real Salt here from the Utah Flats. And I'm going to talk about Morton's. I'm going to talk about other salts and the biggest producer of salt and some of the contaminants in salt right now. So good morning, Mary. I see Susan on. So I'm just going to wait a couple more minutes and jump into the goods here and get a few more people on. Hopefully like I said, my phone will not go erratic this morning like it has been doing and pressing buttons automatically. Hope everybody had a really good holiday weekend and beginning of school. Whoever has kids in school, or if you're a teacher or you work in school, hopefully it's going smooth start to the school year. Our son Justin is up in college, and so far smooth sailing. He has a couple classes in person and a couple classes online, and they start baseball practice on Monday. So smooth sailing for him so far up there. He's having a great time. He has an easy schedule and gets to play a little golf and gets all his work done. And they isolated all the boys together, the team together. Basically, they all live together, and they're encouraged to all stay together and not venture off and veer off across campus to gatherings and things like that. All right, so let's talk about salt. I'm going to read an article here that I was reading the other day when I was looking up. I have a lot of Google alerts, organic food, and all kinds of things. So I go through and I read daily, some updates on things and things that are happening. I came across an article on just a little blurb on salt, on why you should not be consuming salt from China. Now, a lot of people don't realize that China makes salt, or that China is the leading producer of salt. So let me just read this little blurb here, and it's like one of the foods you should avoid. So, white table salt is a common staple in your home. You'll want to steer clear of salt imported from China. Although China is one of the top salt manufacturers in the world, the process they use to produce so much of this ingredient renders the salt unsafe for humans. Chinese salt is commonly filled with metals and other substances that should never enter the human body. Since the large majority of Chinese salt is unsafe for consumption, the Chinese companies are supposed to sell the product as an industrial salt, never to be used for cooking. However, many manufacturers have been passing this unsafe industrial salt off as table salt for years. A little bit of more of a history on salt and what's going on here. So let me just go back to my Facebook page here so I can see the comments that are coming in again. So we buy the Redmond Real Salt. It's not labeled as sea salt. A lot of people say, well, we buy sea salt. China makes sea salt as well, folks. China absolutely makes sea salt. So we buy the Redmond Real Salt. It's not labeled as sea salt. It's from inland, the Utah Flats. We buy from one family owns a mine. Cave goes way down and 25 feet underneath, no pollution. Really awesome salt. They extract the salt. And how you extract the salt, when you pull the salt, that's exactly what you get in the salt shaker or in the bag of salt that we get. They add nothing, they take nothing. There's a lot of manufacturing in salt. People don't really realize this. The salt that we use has all these speckles in it. You would never buy Morton salt or kosher salt with all these speckles in it. So those speckles are totally refined out. And the way they do that is through high heat processing and through chemicals and extracting all these minerals out. Salt is very, 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 very mineral rich. Or the right salt is extremely mineral rich. And it can have health benefits. It can have many health benefits for you, all the minerals in there and all that high quality salt. So In fact, Symphony brand salt, which is that little box of Himalayan salt, they have two actually medical studies on there, so they can actually claim medical claims on their salt, hair growth, nail growth, things like that, because the minerals are so charged in the salt. So salt, even sea salt can be highly processed. They crank the heat up on these and basically render these salts unrecognizable for the human body, the way they heat them up and process them, and what happens, and the chemical interactions that happen to salt. So, but not many people know that China is our leading producer of salt. So, Morton's is a 50-year-old, 60 or 70-year-old company, Morton's, and they are indeed an American company. On the surface, they're an American company. They have been an American company. I think founded in Chicago, and they get salt from all over the country, from Texas, from California. They process their salt, highly processed salt, by the way, highly processed Morton's. It's nothing special, nothing to brag home about. But now let's put yourself in the shoes of a manufacturer. Let's say you're making lasagna, tomato sauce. You're a bulk producer, and you're using a ton of salt. Morton's would be an extreme purchase for you, because Morton's is going to be on the pricier side. If you go to Alibaba right now and type in Alibaba Chinese salt, Alibaba specializes in all Chinese products. This is how a lot of importers and a lot of people go into business. They go into Alibaba, they find lots of products that are cheaply made in China. They bring them back here and they triple, quadruple, whatever the price is on them, and you can have a really good Amazon storefront, internet business by selling these inexpensive things that are made in China, buying them in bulk, breaking them apart, and repackaging them and selling them. So you can indeed buy food on Alibaba, Alibaba.com. So if you went into Alibaba.com right now and you typed in salt from China, you'd literally get thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of hits for salt that you can buy from China. If you type in sea salt, you'll get 1,000 hits of Chinese sea salt. So when these big companies go to add salt to their products, to their pesto sauce, to their tomato sauce, to their lasagna, to whatever food they're making, they're not calling Morton's and saying we want high quality, overpriced, cheap salt. They go right to bulk producers and get tons of cheap salt put in. So this salt is very, even though you may not be buying Chinese salt at home, it's very rampant in our food industry. Very rampant in our food industry. Now, a lot of chefs are stuck on kosher salt, and there's only one or two brands of really kosher salt that's sold in through food distributors. So now, let's talk about Morton's. Morton's being this 170, 80, 65-year-old, however old they are, American company. They, in 2014, announced a partnership in China where they claimed in the beginning that they're going to get their salt into the Chinese market. They're going to bring salt from the U.S., ship it into China, and all of a sudden take advantage of this lucrative Chinese salt market in China. Meantime, China is being the leading producer and should be producing the cheapest salt out there. So one would think, well, how can an American company make an American salt and then ship it to China and compete with the Chinese economy, skeletal economy, with their labor and make salt? So it seemed a little odd at first. 2015, fast forward a year later, they actually close a plant in Chicago. And at the same time, they actually announce a cooperation with one of the largest salt producers in China to start producing salt in China. Now, if you look on their website, it says nothing about them making Chinese salt. If you go on their Wikipedia page, it's very well manicured, and there's not one word of China on their Wikipedia page. You actually have to go in to find this stuff. You have to go in and look through articles that were posted in 2015. So I believe, based upon the articles that I've seen, that Morton's is indeed manufacturing salt in China. I've seen it in some of the trade journal articles that they're manufacturing salt in China. And who knows if that salt is getting shipped back to the U.S. We have, again, their Wikipedia page is so well manicured that you don't see anything about China. at all on their Wikipedia page. Not that they've done a joint venture, not that they want to sell in China, nothing. Their website, nothing has it on there. So, but if you go through the trade journals, like food business journals, things like that, these wholesale journals, these online websites that I subscribe to, you can see all of this happening in 2014, 2015. So Morton's could possibly be using here in America Chinese-made salt. Now, would all Chinese salt be unsafe to eat, like what I first read in the article? Probably not. Is Morton's more of a reputable company? I hope so. Are they testing the salt for metals and things like that? I would imagine they would be. So it's probably not as bad as that first paragraph that I read about most Chinese salt, but they're, to be fully transparent, I don't think they're being fully transparent about where all of their salt comes from and where it's produced at. So they do a really good show on their website. I haven't been on their website. I haven't been on their website in a while, actually. Let me go right on it really quick. Morton Salt. So, they even sell a Himalayan salt now. Of course the Himalaya folks are in China. Of course, Himalayan mountains are in China, so that could easily be a Chinese salt. But where they're producing and mining salt is actually in Pakistan, in the Himalayan Pakistan. That's one thing people don't understand as well. Most of the mines are in Pakistan, indeed, pulling out the salt. So yeah, they have several different salts, and of course nothing. I mean, their website looks good. It's all about salt, so I'd have to jump into a little more. But nothing on their Wikipedia page, which I really went through in detail before I did this video, had nothing about China on there. A little bit of information on salt I wanted to drop. That's it. If you're buying salt, look for real salt, Redmond real salt. That's the salt that we buy. That's the salt we endorse. That's the salt that we love. It's a one mine, one owner. It's an independent family. They produce amazing salt. The salt is as it comes out of the ground. You can buy it in all kinds of stores across the country. A lot of stores have it. We actually sell it too by the pound. This video is not to sell the salt. It's to educate you on salt, but we sell here by the pound at a really good price. We buy directly from them in 25-pound bags. A lot pricier than regular sea salt. So if we bought like a really good sea salt in like a 25-pound bag, it would probably cost us $20. We pay almost $60 for a 25-pound bag of salt, and we go through a lot of salt because we use it in a lot of preparations, and we use it to brine things and cure things, and we use it to purge our oysters. So we literally go through, today when the oysters come in, we'll literally go through 2-3 cups of salt through a 2-purge process on the oysters just to purge the oysters. So we do go through a lot of salt. That's the only salt that I would look for, Redmond real salt. They're from the Utah Flats. So the mine there is underneath the ground. It goes 25 feet deep into the ground, which eliminates surface pollution on the surface. I'm sure most of you have seen pictures of the Utah salt flats, and it's above surface. It's above the ground. And they mine typically salt sometimes from on the ground. That gives a chance for runoff, agricultural runoff, things like that. So the neat thing about Redmond real salt is the mine goes down deep in 25 feet. No pollution down there. Nothing's going on down there. It's pure and natural. They take the salt from the mine, put it into its proper size, whether it's kosher, fine, coarse ground, and put it in the package and send it out. That is it. Everything is in contact 55, 54 minerals, over 54 minerals, and those are the specs in there. We had a chef one time that worked for us years and years ago, and he didn't like the salt. He's like, I can't use this salt, Marcus. I'm like, what are you talking about? You can't use this salt. He goes, it's dirty salt. It makes my food, the food, when I salt things, I can see the specks. You salt the salmon, you salt things, you can see the specks. And I said, that's the minerals in the salt. I'm like, we're not switching salts. But this is the mentality of chefs, all right? Totally forget the health benefits of food. Has to totally forget the health benefits of food. It needs to go on visual and what looks better, and totally not even process. And he was like, yeah, I don't like the salt. I can't use the salt. And he fought me. I said, we're not changing salt. That's it. We're not changing salt. This is the salt we use. This is the salt we endorse. This is the best salt out there. So hopefully that helps you with your salt procurement. And let's see, a couple things coming up. We have a strip steak sale. Strip steaks are on sale this week until supplies last. I got in 6 strip loins. I'm going to cut them up today, this morning, into steaks, about 10-ounce steaks, 8 10-ounce steaks. They're going to get cryovac in packages. So limited supply. We're letting all those go for $9.99 a pound. They used to be $15.99 a pound or $14.99 a pound on our grocery list when we brought them in. So strip steak sale. They're 100% grass-fed, grass-finished beef. Really high quality, same kind of quality. It's all pH tested beef. It's tender beef. It's the same beef we use for our ribeyes. That will go out on an email this morning, email blast this morning, and first come, first serve. Sale ends on Monday, I believe, because now we're closed Tuesday, Wednesdays, which was a huge benefit this week for Jamie and I to have 2 days and not worry about opening the doors here and being able to relax at night. We didn't really relax. We still did work. We have a lot of projects that we're working on and people that we need to talk to, but it was just nice to be able just to take the time to get a lot of that stuff done. So that was really great. We'll be closed Tuesdays for probably throughout the course of the winter. In the spring, open up 6 days again. So we'll keep you posted on that. Strip steak sale. We're doing our lobster bakes this weekend. Lobster bakes, we raised the price to $30 because we're using 1.5-pound lobsters now instead of 1.25-pound lobsters. It's a bigger lobster. It's worth it. Let's see. There was something else I wanted to talk about. The 21st is our next wine event, Southern Italian wines from Produttoria di Manduria, a cooperative down in Manduria that makes amazing, high-quality Italian wines. That's $25 per person. These events sell out very quickly. They're on a Monday night. We're probably going to start switching in and doing some cocktails and some spirits. And we might, instead of going every other week, may start going every week. So we'll see how that goes. Take advantage of the fall weather as we can before we have to officially come back in for indoor dining. People are asking us what we're doing for indoor dining. We will be doing indoor dining at some point, of course, because it'll be too cold to be outside. So even though we have heaters and everything, we have a tent and we got the fire pit, it's still gonna be too cold at some point. So what we're doing is, I bought a lot of old doors, the old wooden panel doors, and we're in the process of building movable partitions to go in between some of the tables for your comfort level. We're not putting more tables in the restaurant. We're just making it more comfortable. We're actually eliminating tables because of this, right? So it's just a way for us to add just an extra comfort level of some type of a barrier. The health department wants 5-foot barriers. So see right behind me here, I'm in the booth right now. That is a legal barrier. The health department was in here doing our inspection last month, and they're like, Marcus, you're good to go with what you've done here in the booths, which have always been done. So that's from one booth to another. That's a 5-foot tall in between the booths. So that's perfectly fine. The health department loves that. They go, you're perfectly fine. So in the process of going and looking at partitions in between some of the other tables, because we wanted to make you feel more comfortable, we were looking at, so we can go to a restaurant supply house, any restaurant supply house, and we buy plexiglass ones that are portable and movable, and they make they fabricate all kinds of ones now, but they look cheap. They look really cheap, and it's like, oh, you can tell that's not part of the restaurant's environment, right? It's not part of the atmosphere, so it's not part of the decoration. So we wanted to do something that actually fit the theme of the wood tones and the antiques in the restaurant. So we came up with the idea of doing these old vintage wood doors as partitions. So we have 9 doors in now. I'm not going to use them all, but I got 9 in that I'll make partitions, that I'll build partitions with, that we can move them, portably move them. So it'll look really, really cool. We have a couple doors in the back. I don't know if let me show you in case you've not seen this in the past. So in the back dining room, people love these doors in the back that we put up. We did this a couple years ago, by the way. So this is our back table, and those are 2 doors that are right up against the wine rack. So 2 old vintage doors. So that's basically what we're going to be doing. So when you sit down behind you or something, we'll have these doors like that as a partition. So I did a sample the other day, and I took a door there and I just built a partition. I have a lot of doors now that are brighter colors and whites and pinks and things like that. that'll lighten it up. And again, they're portable. We can move them around just to add that extra comfort level. And once we start indoor dining. All right, folks, I'm gonna go for a run now. Got a bunch of work to do. Just stay tuned for the email that comes out today for the strip steak sale. Is $9.99 burger night. That's the other thing I wanted to mention. $9.99 burgers tonight to go. That is a to go special only. $11.99 in house. And thanks for tuning in, folks. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate the support. Jamie will be on live later. We're in the process of a lot of people have asked this. Oh, remember that live that Jamie did where she did the margarita, the spicy margarita, or she did that Manhattan? I want to go back and watch that. Where is that? I have one of my assistants right now in the process of going through and labeling and numbering each episode. So she has to go through and watch the episode, find out what drinks in it, and label it. Jamie has done, I think, 117 lives, Facebook lives, happy hour Jamie. She's done 117 of them since the pandemic hit. So it's about an every other day schedule she's on. So she's getting in, she was getting in a lot in the very, very beginning. So 4 o'clock every day or most days during the week, she tries to do her Facebook Live. And if she's not busy, she can jump behind the bar and make a cocktail. We got some new rums coming in that we're super excited about. That'll be in tomorrow. We have a Amaro coming in, an Amir coming in, which is I've never had that before. We have a smokeless mezcal coming in tomorrow, which is really cool as well. So she has some new cocktails, some new spirits to make some new cocktails, which is really, really exciting. And these rums we tasted yesterday were just dynamite, like amazing. I mean, we've tasted them before, we just have never bought them, and now we pulled the trigger yesterday to bring them in. And of course, everything that we bring in is available for retail, so the rums and everything, the Amir, all that you can actually buy. It'll be on our shelves here. So if you fall in love with something, you can take a bottle home. And so we're in the process of numbering all of those and going through and labeling them so you'll know, okay. And I think we'll end up putting them on our website where the titles will be, where you can say, okay, scroll down, margarita, happy hour live with Jamie, margarita, the number of the version, click it, and then it goes right to. They're actually all on YouTube as well, so we'll have to adjust the YouTube titles as well, and so you can just reference it and click, and there you go. All right, folks, thanks for tuning in, and I've got to really go now. Talk to you later.